This is booked for drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part 2. Today we're diving into I accepted arranged marriage after my fiancé faked his death. Let's go. Chapter 1. Theodore Lopez and I had been together since our student days, and we were about to get married. But on the eve of our wedding, he suddenly passed away. I cried until I nearly fainted, yet comments kept floating before my eyes like bullet screen messages. Can someone tell Chloe Brooks that he's faking his death? Theodore's mistress ran away after finding out he was getting married. He decided overnight to fake his death and chase after his mistress abroad. Chloe's crying here while his mistress is crying in bed. I'm about to die of anger. Too bad when he comes back from his fake death, Chloe will happily marry him since she doesn't know anything. Half a month later, news of my engagement to a famous business heir spread throughout Washington. Friends who had conspired with Theodore anxiously questioned me. Theodore just passed away not long ago, and you're already in such a rush to find another man? I replied coldly. Since he's already dead, I can't possibly stay unmarried for the rest of my life because of him, can I? When those lines of bullet screen comments appeared before my eyes, I thought it was a hallucination from excessive grief. But those comments didn't stop. If Chloe goes to the rooftop now, she'll find out Theodore isn't dead at all. Chloe has barely eaten for 2 days because of him, and now she can barely walk. How could she possibly go to the rooftop? I dragged my legs, heavy as if filled with lead, toward the rooftop. When I had just a few steps left, I heard that all too familiar voice with a hint of playful tone. Isn't my funeral over yet? The voice was coming from Theodore's good friend Gabriel Cruz's phone. Gabriel replied, Yes, Theodore. Theodore asked, Chloe hasn't noticed anything suspicious, has she? Gabriel said, No, Chloe has been very busy these past few days. Yesterday, she was so overcome with grief that she nearly fainted. Right now, she's probably still crying in her room. Theodore said casually, Help me comfort her a bit more. Beside him, his other good friend Micah Allen said, But Theodore, are you really serious about your girlfriend? You actually chose to fake your death and chase after her to England. You even had us help you put on this act. Those bullet screen comments were telling the truth. I gripped the stair railing tightly, every cell in my body trembling. I heard Theodore say, Don't worry about all that. You just need to help me keep it from her. Gabriel asked, So are you still getting married? Theodore said, Of course. When I come back, our wedding will proceed as planned. It's just that before getting married, you've got to let me go crazy for love once, right? Gabriel laughed. You're right. After you get married, you'll only be able to revolve around one person, and you won't have the chance anymore. All three of them laughed in unison. But my blood froze like ice, making my whole body shiver. I had prayed countless times that Theodore might still be alive, but I never imagined it would be in this form. Chloe finally sees the truth. I hope she wakes up in time. You need to get out there and expose that bastard. But I didn't rush out to confront them. I turned around and calmly went downstairs. After dry heaving over the toilet in the bathroom for a while, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot and I looked haggard from not sleeping for days and nights. I cupped some water in my hands, splashed it on my face, then used a towel to wipe away the tear stains. As expected, even after learning the truth, Chloe still chooses to silently accept it. I'm so angry. Chloe loves Theodore deeply. She must have heard Theodore say he'd still marry her when he comes back, which is why she's choosing to endure all this. I think Chloe doesn't want to confront them too quickly because she's preparing to strike back. I walked out of the room, and Gabriel handed me 2 tissues. He said with concern, Chloe, don't be too upset. Theodore wouldn't want to see you like this. I looked up at his feigned heavy expression and asked, could Theodore still be alive? Chapter 2. Gabriel's expression faltered for half a second before he regained his composure. He said, How could that be possible? Theodore's clothes and shoes have already been recovered from the river. Chloe, you saw them yourself. A week ago, Theodore crashed into the river while driving late at night. The police concluded that he was swept away by the rushing current while trying to escape from the car. I kept vigil by the riverbank all night long. The rescue team searched the river for several days, only finding his jacket and shoes. I nearly fainted from overwhelming grief. Today was supposed to be our wedding day. I cried myself into a splitting headache while clutching our photo together. But now, someone is telling me this was all an elaborate trap he set. My pain has been nothing but a joke from beginning to end. I can't believe Theodore would actually keep a mistress like everyone else. He's absolutely disgusting. I feel the same way. When I first started reading this book, I thought it would be a super sweet story. I never expected the plot to take such a turn. Chloe is so beautiful and wealthy. If he doesn't want her, I'd fight him for her myself. The comfort and praise from the comments section provided some relief from the pain and disgust in my heart. Gabriel continued, Chloe, don't let your mind wander. If Theodore could see this, he'd be heartbroken. Heartbroken? How ironic. This morning I was still thanking Gabriel for helping me handle Theodore's funeral arrangements. It turns out he and Theodore were in on it together. Following the hints in the comments, I found Theodore's mistress's TikTok account. That's when I discovered she had appeared in my feed many times before. She was an influencer under Theodore's media company, named Isla Murphy. Isla's account name was Thulsla. Her latest video showcased London street scenes, along with tightly clasped hands in an intimate embrace. I was all too familiar with the small mole on the wrist of the man in the video. The caption read, That most innocent Christmas, he abandoned his perfectly matched arranged marriage partner and traveled over 4,800 miles to find me. My lover finally came from Washington to London. The video went viral, with netizens flooding the comments section with praise for this beautiful love story. The story of a domineering CEO frantically pursuing his escaped lover has become reality. I'm very familiar with this plot. The person your sugar daddy truly loves is actually you. His arranged marriage partner is just a tool to push him toward pursuing you. Passionate people really do tend to be born into wealthy families. I'd love to know how to contact this sugar daddy of yours. However, the comments I saw were completely different. Are all the people in this comment section fake? What kind of mistress literature is this? This is clearly homewrecker literature. Arranged marriage partner? They're really giving this bastard too much credit. Chloe's previous arranged marriage partner was clearly the main villain in the story. Chapter 3. Theodore and I weren't actually in an arranged marriage. I met him in high school. Back then, my parents had already arranged a marriage partner for me, Alexander Thompson, heir to the Thompson family of Washington. But I didn't want to marry him because my parents were the product of a marriage of convenience. Since childhood, I watched them act lovingly in front of others, but privately they each brought their lovers home. The few times they were both home together, there were endless arguments and mutual accusations. I despised this hypocritical, broken family dynamic, so strongly resisted arranged marriage. In our junior year that fall, Theodore sat behind me. When I was at my lowest emotionally, he approached me like a happy little puppy. Accepting his confession felt completely natural. We were together from our student days right up until we were preparing to get married. We even returned to our alma mater together recently to give speeches. We were the couple everyone envied. Everyone said we were the real-life version of a sweet campus love story. I basked in everyone's envy, thinking I had found true love. But what I didn't know was that the person I thought would never betray me had somehow gotten a mistress. In the videos, Isla sweetly called him honey and posted content about daily life with my sugar daddy. Many viewers even urged her to post more updates. Theodore would hold her and film popular dance trends with her. Though his face never appeared on camera, I could tell he was enjoying himself. Every business trip he claimed to take, he brought Isla along. Countless nights when I thought he was working overtime, he was actually at another woman's tender refuge. Once I told Theodore not to work so hard. He replied, I want to earn your parents' respect, and I want to make more money to give you a wedding that everyone will envy. 5 minutes before the accident, Theodore sent me a message. No matter what happens, I will always love you. Every time I read that text, I cry. But it all shattered like a soap bubble. Theodore had already planned his explanation after faking his death. He would say he was swept downstream and rescued by a family, and that he had lost his memory. The key thing is that Chloe actually believed it when she heard this, chose to marry him, and then began a life of suffering. In the end, she died of depression after repeatedly forgiving Theodore. How are there still authors writing this kind of story that abuses women? But now the plot has suddenly changed. Chloe found out the truth early. I hope she won't follow the same old path. I went downstairs to the first floor. Seeing me come down, Theodore's mother Naomi Lopez, who was sitting on the living room sofa, glared at me with her red, swollen eyes from crying. She cursed. If you hadn't urged my son to come back, he wouldn't have driven into the river. You're the one who killed my son. Theodore had originally been on a business trip out of town. The day after his accident was when we had scheduled to try on wedding dresses, and he had driven into the river on his way back that night. When I first learned of Theodore's death, I suppressed my grief and went to comfort Naomi first. But she pushed me away and cursed. It's you jinx, who killed my son. A blessed girl wouldn't enter an unlucky family. Chloe, you should run away while you're still not married. She won't run. A few days ago, when Theodore's mom called her a jinx, she felt so guilty and took all the blame on herself. After being bullied by this old woman, she'll continue to be bullied by Theodore when he fakes his return from the dead. Naomi and I never got along. Before Theodore's accident, he promised me that after marriage, we wouldn't live with her. But these past few days, out of guilt, I let Naomi take her anger out on me. Now, however, I found her clutching Theodore's portrait looking ridiculously like a clown. I don't know what came over me, but I laughed out loud. Naomi immediately became furious and demanded, "What are you laughing at?" She stood up, ready to rush over and slap me. Micah quickly rushed over to stop her. "Mrs. Lopez, please don't be angry. Chloe is overwhelmed with grief and isn't in a good mental state. Please don't hold it against her." Gabriel also tried to mediate. "Chloe, you should apologize to Mrs. Lopez." I slowly walked over to Naomi. Naomi thought I was going to appease her, so she turned her head away in disgust. She also said, "No matter what you say, I'll never forgive you. You and my son were only engaged, not married yet. Don't even think about getting any of his inheritance." But I simply bent down and whispered in her ear, "Your son deserved to die. When are you going to join him, you old hag?" She clutched her chest in rage and fell back onto the sofa. The old hag is about to be angered to death. I'm cheering for Chloe. I want to see who dares to mess with her. So satisfying. Chloe won't coddle her anymore. A group of relatives panicked and all rushed over to surround Naomi. With trembling hands, she pointed at me and shouted, "She really did kill my son. Gabriel, call the police and arrest her. Theodore's mother has really lost it. No wonder she could raise such a bastard son." Chloe has pulled herself together. I'm so happy. I hope Chloe has truly awakened. I'm so worried that when Theodore comes back later, she'll immediately give in. With tears in my eyes, I said, "Since Mrs. Lopez hates me so much, I can only move out of the Lopez house." Gabriel said, "Chloe, don't do this." I said, "Enough. Stop trying to persuade me. My being here will only make her more heartbroken. I've already decided to move out." Gabriel and Micah exchanged glances. Clearly, this situation was something they hadn't anticipated. Then Gabriel walked to a corner to text Theodore. Theodore replied, "That's just how my mom is. It wasn't easy for her to raise me. Please ask Chloe to be more understanding." Gabriel, "But your mom keeps yelling at her. She's determined to move out." Theodore, "Then let her move. I can easily get her to move back when the time comes anyway." Gabriel, "All right, I won't try to talk her out of it then." Of course, I had no idea what they were discussing. But thanks to the real-time comments, I knew the content of their conversation. I packed up my belongings from the bedroom. My good friend Stella Thompson helped me call a moving company. "Chloe, are you really okay?" she asked me carefully. Stella had seen me crying heartbrokenly a few days ago. "I'm fine." I shook my head. "I just want to find a suitable place quickly and move out." Stella suddenly thought of something. "Alexander has an apartment. After he went abroad, he hasn't lived there for a long time. Why don't you move there temporarily? You can move out again once you find a suitable place." The comments in front of me suddenly increased. Our dark and obsessive villain Alexander with feminine energy is finally going to appear. Too bad the original text doesn't describe much of his storyline. But honestly, I quite like his character design. The message he sent to Chloe, she still hasn't replied to this day. His darkness level has increased a lot again. I thought, villain? Alexander? I didn't even have his WhatsApp, only his Facebook that I'd added back in high school. And his Facebook account seemed to have been hacked, sending me a link every month or two. I was afraid of viruses, so I never clicked on them and even set his messages to Do Not Disturb. So I had ignored the message he sent me a week ago. "Do you need help?" That night, news of the rescue team's full effort to recover Theodore spread throughout Washington. The video of me crying during the interview went viral on TikTok. Many people felt sorry that Theodore had died so young and expressed sympathy for me. Alexander's message was sent that very day. I hadn't seen the message, so naturally I didn't reply to him. After thinking it over, I politely replied, "No need. Thank you." Alexander instantly replied, "Okay." I remembered the day Theodore confessed to me. He asked me to meet him in the woods next to the academic building. The wind was particularly strong that day. As I brushed away the hair covering my cheek, I saw Alexander on the academic building. He stood at the end of the corridor, hands casually resting on the railing, with thick eyebrows and deep-set eyes, quietly watching me. I looked at him, then lowered my head and smiled as I said to Theodore, "Okay." It wasn't until Theodore kissed my cheek that I looked up again, only to find the young man at the end of the corridor had disappeared. Only the tree branches swayed violently in the wind. Chapter 4. I pulled my thoughts back to the present. Most of my belongings had already been moved out of the room. On the nightstand, the photo of Theodore and me had been knocked to the floor. I stepped on it with my high heels, and the frame immediately shattered into countless pieces of glass. Though he wasn't dead, in my heart, he might as well be. As I walked out of the Lopez mansion, Naomi was still cursing behind me. "Don't you dare come back after you leave. And when it's my son's death anniversary, you're not allowed to pay your respects to him either." This old woman is terrified that Chloe will fight her for the inheritance. Actually, Chloe's family is wealthy, she couldn't care less about that stuff. "Is your son a king or something? You make paying respects sound like some kind of favor." Gabriel said, "Mrs. Naomi, maybe you should tone it down a bit." Micah and Gabriel walked me to the door. "Chloe, if you need our help with anything, just let us know." I said coldly, "No need. I want to be alone for a while." "Actually, Chloe, you're right. Theodore might really still be alive. The police haven't recovered his body yet, right? Maybe if we wait a little longer, we'll get good news," Gabriel added. Theodore is worried Chloe might do something drastic after moving out, so he's having his friend give her hope. But Chloe already knows the truth. The three of them are like clowns, it's ridiculous. I actually own several properties myself, but they're all rented out. I couldn't just kick out my tenants because I needed a place to stay, so I accepted Stella's offer and temporarily moved my things to the vacant Thompson family mansion. When Stella handed me the keys, I asked, "Your brother won't suddenly come back, will he?" "No way. I just asked him recently. He said he won't be back anytime soon," Stella replied. "Even if he does come back, he doesn't really stay in this house, he goes back to the Thompson estate. You can live here without worry." I slept in the room for 2 days and nights straight, and my eyes finally went down. In the evening, Stella asked me to go to a bar for some drinks. After a few drinks, I spotted Micah and Gabriel. I didn't want to greet them, so I pretended not to see them and turned my head away. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Gabriel pull out his phone and take a picture of my profile. Then he sent the photo to Theodore. "Theodore, I ran into Chloe at a bar. Should I go over and comfort her?" Theodore replied, "Sure, I really handled this poorly and made her suffer." Gabriel put away his phone and started walking toward me. But halfway there, Theodore sent him another message. "Never mind. Don't go comfort her. Only by experiencing the pain of losing me will she treasure me more when I come back from the dead, right?" Chapter 5. I pulled my thoughts back to the present. Most of my belongings had already been moved out of the room. On the nightstand, the photo of Theodore and me had been knocked to the floor. I stepped on it with my high heels, and the frame immediately shattered into countless pieces of glass. Though he wasn't dead, in my heart, he might as well be. As I walked out of the Lopez mansion, Naomi was still cursing behind me. "Don't you dare come back after you leave. And when it's my son's death anniversary, you're not allowed to pay your respects to him either." This old woman is terrified that Chloe will fight her for the inheritance. Actually, Chloe's family is wealthy, she couldn't care less about that stuff. "Is your son a king or something? You make paying respects sound like some kind of favor." Gabriel said, "Mrs. Naomi, maybe you should tone it down a bit." Micah and Gabriel walked me to the door. Chloe, if you need our help with anything, just let us know. I said coldly, no need. I want to be alone for a while. Actually, Chloe, you're right. Theodore might really still be alive. The police haven't recovered his body yet, right? Maybe if we wait a little longer, we'll get good news, Gabriel added. Theodore is worried Chloe might do something drastic after moving out, so he's having his friend give her hope. But Chloe already knows the truth. The three of them are like clowns, it's ridiculous. I actually own several properties myself, but they're all rented out. I couldn't just kick out my tenants because I needed a place to stay, so I accepted Stella's offer and temporarily moved my things to the vacant Thompson family mansion. When Stella handed me the keys, I asked, your brother won't suddenly come back, will he? No way, I just asked him recently. He said he won't be back anytime soon, Stella replied. Even if he does come back, he doesn't really stay in this house, he goes back to the Thompson estate. You can live here without worry. I slept in the room for 2 days and nights straight, and my eyes finally went down. In the evening, Stella asked me to go to a bar for some drinks. After a few drinks, I spotted Micah and Gabriel. I didn't want to greet them, so I pretended not to see them and turned my head away. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Gabriel pull out his phone and take a picture of my profile. Then he sent the photo to Theodore. Theodore, I ran into Chloe at a bar. Should I go over and comfort her? Theodore replied, sure, I really handled this poorly and made her suffer. Gabriel put away his phone and started walking toward me. But halfway there, Theodore sent him another message, never mind. Don't go comfort her. Only by experiencing the pain of losing me will she treasure me more when I come back from the dead, right? Gabriel, you're right. Theodore, you know so much. Theodore, keep an eye on her for me. The bar's crowded, don't let anything happen to her. The live comments in front of me were filled with mockery. Don't let anything happen to her? That line might fool others, but he shouldn't even fool himself. Do you dare try turning fake death into real death and give us all a shock? Micah sighed, when will I ever meet a girlfriend like Chloe, devoted, beautiful, and from a good family? I'd be willing to die for someone like that. Gabriel glanced at him. You could probably steal Theodore's girlfriend right now while you have the chance. Micah laughed. I wouldn't dare. When Theodore gets back, he'd probably beat me to death. During all these years with Theodore, quite a few of his friends had secretly pursued me behind the scenes. When Theodore found out, he cut ties with those people without hesitation. But this cheap possessiveness didn't equal loyalty. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification. Theo Isla, whom you follow, has posted a new video. Isla had posted a new video with the caption, 23 days left until my sugar daddy returns home. Today, he took me to see the Northern Lights. The comments section was full of heartbroken fans. Why does your sugar daddy have to go back home? Can't he just stay with you forever? Isla replied, I only want his money and his body. After he spends a month with me, he has to go back for an arranged marriage. When that happens, I'll find my next target. The fans were all upset. No, don't make your relationship so tragic. I really hate those boundary-crossing arranged marriage partners. But the live comments streaming in front of me were filled with curses. This homewrecker is really good at pretending to be carefree. Theodore barely got back home before you followed him back. Exactly. She even deliberately used Theodore's cousin's identity to move into the Lopez family villa, then brazenly came and went from their marital home. I really want to find a truck driver to run them both over. These past 2 days, I'd been repeatedly watching her videos. The process was like taking a small knife and slowly carving Theodore out of my heart, piece by piece. It hurt, but it was effective. My sadness was gradually being replaced by disgust. Watching their loving display in the videos, what I felt now was more relief than anything else. Did they really enjoy having everyone watch their happiness that much? Well, I'd be happy to fulfill that wish for them. I sent her account to a media friend and asked, I've got big news. Want it? Chapter 6. I had a few more drinks at the bar. By the time I got back to my place, it was already late at night. The alcohol had temporarily numbed my brain, so I didn't notice the subtle changes in the room's arrangement. Feeling dizzy, I made my way upstairs. After washing up, I was already exhausted. I pushed open the bedroom door and didn't even bother turning on the lights, I just dove straight into bed. But something felt off about the temperature under the covers. I reached out and touched the solid, burning hot body. The man let out a muffled grunt. I bolted upright, but my hands were pinned down to the bed by the man. Who are you? I asked. Then the light came on. The first thing I saw was the man's muscular chest. This view is amazing. Alexander's chest is so well built. Chloe, what are you waiting for? Take the initiative already. The man squinted against the sudden light. When he saw it was me, his gaze paused. Chloe? It took me 2 seconds to connect the man in front of me with Alexander from our childhood Christmas days. You're hurting me, Alexander, I said. The pressure on my wrists immediately loosened. Alexander's Adam's apple bobbed. He grabbed the thin blanket beside him and turned to cover me with it. Looking down, I realized my tank top had somehow slipped off my shoulder. Alexander got out of bed. I could see his slightly flushed ears as he turned his back to me and put on his shirt and pants. I'd walked into the wrong room before, but this room's door had always been locked. When I couldn't turn the handle, I naturally knew I'd made a mistake. But tonight, this room wasn't locked. I'd walked in without any obstruction, and even, I explained quietly, Stella told me to stay here temporarily. I'm still not familiar with the layout, so I went to the wrong room. Alexander turned to look at me. He'd put on his shirt hastily, only buttoning the bottom few buttons. Below his collarbone, the deep contours of his chest muscles were visible, and his gaze rested on me with calm indifference. All right, Alexander said. You can stay here. I'll head back to the Thompson Manor now. Alexander looks all cold and aloof saying, I'll head back to the Thompson Manor now, but inside he's screaming, please ask me to stay. I can't imagine how excited I'd be if Alexander held Chloe in his arms while wearing a suit, then kissed away all the tears from the corners of her eyes. This scene really exists in the original plot. After fighting with that bastard Theodore, Chloe ran away from home. She was found by the blackened Alexander and locked up in his villa. Alexander got slapped 7 or 8 times while kissing Chloe. It was so satisfying to watch. I suspected the comments were fake, but I had no proof. Alexander's expression showed no emotion when he looked at me, and knowing I was staying here, his first reaction was to return to the Thompson Manor. Lock me up? That didn't seem like something he'd do. You don't need to go back, I said. It's already so late, and this is your home anyway. Alexander's hand stopped mid-motion as he was putting on his watch. I continued, I'm sorry for waking you up. I'll go back to my room now. Chapter 7. When I woke up the next day, I thought Alexander might have already left. Walking out of my room, I found him sitting at the dining table, looking up at me. Good morning. The rebellious, youthful face Alexander had during Christmas gradually merged with the handsome, composed mature man before me. I walked over, meeting his gaze. I smiled and said, Good morning. Are you Alexander? Alexander chuckled. You recognized me last night, but not today? You have quite a grip. You left red marks on my wrist. I lifted my wrist, where faint red traces still remained. Sorry, he said. I thought you were a burglar last night. She is a burglar, one who can steal your heart. Keep pretending. Don't think I don't know what you did in the spot where Chloe had been lying after she left last night. My cars gradually turned red. Do you drink milk? Alexander asked me. My cars turned even redder. Yes. He handed me a bottle of warmed milk and passed me the croissant from the table. My assistant accidentally bought an extra breakfast. I smiled and said, Thank you. Alexander said, I'll need to stay here temporarily because of a new project nearby. If you mind? I said, I don't mind. This is your home to begin with. I'll move out once I find a suitable place. I told Stella about Alexander's return. Stella, this is my fault. I didn't know Alexander was back in the country. When I asked him last month when he'd return, he said he wouldn't be back until Christmas. Me, it's fine. I just wanted to confirm. Stella, I asked my grandfather. There really is a new project nearby. But Alexander volunteered to take charge of it, which is why he's staying at your place. Me, I see. The day after tomorrow is my birthday. Originally, Theodore and I had planned to go to the Maldives for our honeymoon after the wedding, and celebrate my birthday there. Now that plan has fallen through. My mom Elena Brooks called me. Babe, I'm throwing you a birthday party the day after tomorrow at our Azure Hotel. Make sure you dress up nicely. She and my dad Aaron Brooks never approved of my relationship with Theodore anyway. After learning about Theodore's death, they simply transferred several $100,000 to my account to comfort me. That's just their straightforward way of handling things. After hanging up, I noticed a message from Alexander on WhatsApp. Hello. I replied, hello. I clicked on his profile picture, a crescent moon in the deep night, like a crack torn through the darkness. I don't need to explain what this profile picture means, do I? Let's give a round of applause to this man who's been posting links on Facebook every day to test whether Chloe has deleted him, searched for Chloe's WhatsApp account 100 times, and only today finally sent his first message. Applause. I looked at his WhatsApp status updates, which were mostly work-related content. Occasionally mixed in were posts about his daily activities like working out, skydiving, and paragliding. Back in high school, way more girls chased after Alexander than Theodore. After all, he was the heir to the Thompson family of Washington, always surrounded by people. This always reminded me of my playboy father Aaron, who constantly had countless women around him. Ever since Theodore confessed to me, I rarely saw Alexander around campus anymore. I heard he transferred to the international division and applied to universities abroad. I was actually relieved at the time. Long after Theodore and I had been dating, my arranged engagement with Alexander was naturally called off. But now, the comments on my spaghetti post said that if I didn't respond to his messages, Alexander would become obsessive and violent. Those comments also said he would imprison me, and that last night he. Anyway, I found it hard to connect these words with him. Chapter 9. On the night of my birthday banquet, all the celebrities in Washington gathered here. I performed one of my signature violin pieces on stage. After the piece ended, applause erupted from the audience below. A man exclaimed, "Is she really the daughter of Washington's Brooks family? She looks like a movie star. I feel like she could make it in the entertainment industry." A woman said, "But didn't her fiancé just pass away recently? Why does she seem to be in such good spirits?" Another man said, "I saw a video of her crying during an interview. She cried like an angel. It was heartbreaking to watch." The live comments in front of me were filled with confusion. Why do the supporting characters in this book talk so awkwardly? Probably because we can only see the text, not the visuals, so we can't feel that kind of impact. But I have to say, Chloe is so outstanding. Theodore really didn't deserve her. After stepping down from the stage, I spotted Gabriel in the crowd. I hadn't sent him an invitation at all. I had no idea how he'd managed to get in. He waved at me and said, "Chloe." I walked over and said coldly, "From now on, don't act so familiar with me. After all, I never actually married your friend Theodore." "All right." He scratched his head and said, "When we were going through Theodore's belongings yesterday, we found that he had prepared a birthday gift for you long ago. I wanted to give it to you on his behalf." With that, he handed me an exquisite gift box. A small card was attached to the box, reading, "To my dear wife Chloe." I could tell from the handwriting that this wasn't written by Theodore. Oh no, Chloe won't get all emotional seeing this, will she? Going through belongings? He's talking like it's real. Actually, Theodore just had him buy this gift last night. I see, just put it over there. I looked away indifferently, not taking it, and pointed him toward a direction. There sat countless gifts piled up. Gabriel was stunned and asked, "Aren't you going to open it and take a look?" I said coldly, "I have too many gifts, no time." Seeing me walk away, he reported the situation in detail to Theodore. "Theodore, Chloe doesn't seem interested in your gift." Theodore replied, "Are you out of your mind? Chloe is very sentimental. If she opened this gift, she wouldn't be able to control her tears. In front of so many people, she'd be embarrassed." Gabriel, "Got it, you really understand her." Gabriel, "But I heard that while this banquet appears to be celebrating Chloe's birthday, it's actually the Brooks family looking for marriage prospects." Theodore, "Maybe you should come back early? There are so many excellent young men here." Theodore, "Nonsense. What she hates most is this kind of arranged marriage. No matter how outstanding these men are, it's useless." Theodore, "I'll be back at the end of the month. The woman beside me is too clingy, so I can't return Carly." Seeing his determination, Gabriel felt there was no need to be so anxious, so he said nothing more. The venue was bustling with noise as many people came to wish me a happy birthday. Elena said earnestly, "You're our only daughter. In the future, we'll definitely hand over our company for you to manage." She took my arm and walked toward me. "Sweetheart, Alexander is back in the country. I know you don't like him, but the Thompson family after all." I said, "If he's willing, I have no objections." My straightforward agreement actually stunned Elena, who had been treading carefully. I admit, my previous thinking was indeed somewhat naive. True feelings are fleeting, but interests are eternal. My comfortable life these past 20-some years has all been thanks to the Brooks family's solid enterprise. It's just that the Brooks family business has been impacted by emerging forces these past 2 years. Several projects that used to be easily secured have now been snatched away. If we're talking about exchanging interests and forming strong alliances, the Thompson family is our best choice. As for feelings and such, they're not that important compared to these things. Is this how rich families arrange blind dates? I want to go back to the countryside. Wouldn't it be better for Chloe to live independently? Why does she need to get married, to have an arranged marriage? I think marriage is fine. Since all men are pretty much the same, why not choose one who's wealthy and powerful, and can help her family's business? Besides, Alexander is very handsome. In the original plot, he didn't mess around with women, has no major flaws, and could be a loyal partner after marriage. Isn't it good that Chloe can use him? In the distance, Alexander wore a perfectly tailored haute couture suit with his collar slightly open, looking every bit the refined gentleman. His grandfather Charles Thompson stood beside him, saying something to him. Then the two of them walked toward me. Alexander smiled at me and said, "Happy birthday, Chloe." I clinked glasses with him. "Thank you." After both families finished their pleasantries, Charles said with a smile, "You two young people should get to know each other better." In the hotel Sky Garden, Alexander and I walked together alone, discussing the arranged marriage. He said, "If you're unwilling, you can refuse." She can refuse? If she refuses, you might secretly go crazy when you get home tonight. You're right. Who was it that cried for 3 days and nights after seeing Chloe accept someone else's confession? My heart trembled slightly. Then I smiled at Alexander, extended my hand, and said, "No, I'm quite willing. Here's to a pleasant cooperation." He lowered his head and took my hand. The next second, I was gently pulled into his embrace by my wrist. Intense camera shutters sounded behind us. I heard him say softly in my ear, "If we're going to cooperate, then we need to appear intimate." Chapter 10. It took me a while to snap back to reality. I reached out and wrapped my arms around his waist, feeling his muscles tense instantly. I nestled my head against his chest affectionately. The camera captured that exact moment. Our two families immediately confirmed the engagement between Alexander and me. That very evening, the photo made headlines. Our engagement ceremony followed shortly after. As it ended, I spotted Gabriel and Micah again. Both looked absolutely livid. The moment they saw me emerge, they rushed over like they were demanding an explanation. What kind of spell did Theodore cast on these two men? They keep pestering her. Chloe didn't invite them. They couldn't get in, so they've been waiting outside this whole time. Gabriel frowned and confronted me. "Chloe, Theodore just passed away not long ago, and you're already this eager to find your next man?" I found his words ridiculous. Since he's already dead, am I supposed to stay unmarried for the rest of my life because of him? Actually, he's not. Micah desperately wanted to reveal the truth. But Gabriel grabbed his arm. Gabriel said, "But you're moving the way too fast. How can you face him? Besides, just now, the police sent word that Theodore might still be alive, and he might be right." "Hold on," I interrupted him. "If you two feel so guilty about him, then when he comes back alive, why don't one of you be his wife and the other his mistress?" Gabriel was instantly speechless. "You." Footsteps approached from behind as Alexander walked over with several burly bodyguards. "What's going on here?" Alexander asked. Micah immediately tried to placate him. "Nothing at all. We just came to offer our congratulations." "Gabriel, let's go. I get the feeling she knows something," Gabriel said. "We need to call Theodore and tell him to get back here fast. Otherwise, once they have their wedding, it'll be too late for everything." Micah replied, "Forget it. You call him if you want. I can't afford to mess with the Thompson family. When you were talking just now, I saw Mr. Thompson watching us from nearby. His eyes looked murderous. If you're not scared, fine, but I am." Chapter 11. The news of our two families' union spread throughout Washington that very night and even made it to the trending topics. Theodore, who was far away in Europe, naturally saw the news as well. In the photos, Chloe was intimately embracing Alexander. One looked down while the other looked up, their gazes meeting with what seemed like sparks flying between them. He suddenly sat up, pushing away Isla, who had been nestled against his chest. Isla asked, "What are you doing? Why are you being so rough?" Theodore said, "I'm going back home." Isla's eyes instantly filled with tears. "Didn't you say you'd stay with me a few more days? Are you that eager to walk into the prison of marriage? If I don't go back now, my wife is going to be married off to someone else." Theodore began packing his luggage without looking up. "This kind of relationship between us should probably end anyway." Isla scoffed coldly. "The news says she's already engaged, which shows she doesn't love you that much. How can you be sure that when you go back, she won't marry someone else?" Theodore didn't want to explain much to her. "What do you know? She only loves me." Isla was better at pleasing him than Chloe, completely submissive to him, suitable for fun and excitement, but not for marriage. "I'm going back home with you," Isla said. "Don't worry, I'm not trying to ding you. I've gained millions of followers recently. There's a dating reality show back home that invited me. I might become a big star." She emphasized the words, dating reality show, hoping to stir up certain emotions in Theodore. However, Theodore wasn't paying attention and simply said, "Okay, that's great." He hurriedly packed his luggage, bought a plane ticket, and rushed to the airport. On the way, he figured something out. He thought, Chloe must think I'm dead, so she accepted her family's arrangement. Thinking of this, Theodore felt much more relaxed. When talking to Gabriel on the phone, he said, "Why are you in such a rush? If she knew I was still alive, she'd abandon this union in a second." "Really, Theodore?" Gabriel asked. Theodore didn't answer, but instead said, "I've disliked Alexander since high school. When Chloe and I were dating, I could see him staring at me with that feminine energy several times. Tell me, if I went to steal Chloe on their wedding day, wouldn't I make him the laughingstock of Washington?" But he ultimately couldn't wait until their wedding day. As soon as the plane landed, he eagerly dialed Chloe's phone number. Theodore thought, as soon as she hears my voice, she'll definitely choose to call off the wedding without hesitation. He said, "Hello, Chloe." However, what came from the other end was a cold female voice. "The number you have dialed is not in service." This electronic prompt suddenly made his heart panic. The news of Chloe and Alexander's union had spread throughout Washington, but information about their wedding venue was kept very confidential. Theodore searched the entire internet but couldn't find where they were holding their wedding. Finally, on the morning of the wedding day, Theodore used his connections to find out the exact location. On his way there, Theodore kept rehearsing in his mind the lines he would use to steal Chloe away. Thinking that he might trend on social media and be discussed by netizens nationwide, his heart couldn't stop pounding. Theodore thought, if the buzz is high enough, I might even be able to do live streaming sales. The live comments were full of mockery. The scene in Theodore's mind. He pushed open the church doors, and under the gaze of numerous Washington celebrities, disregarding social conventions, he took Chloe's hand and asked, "Will you come with me?" Then Chloe took his hand and resolutely abandoned Alexander to leave with him. The actual situation. There was more security at the entrance than he could have imagined. He couldn't even get close to the church doors. Theodore, blocked at the entrance by security, shamelessly shouted, "I'm Chloe's fiancé. Let me in." Upon hearing this, the security guard, who had been wearing a serious expression, couldn't help but laugh mockingly. "Everyone here knows today is Mr. Thompson and Ms. Brooks's wedding. You show up claiming to be Ms. Brooks's fiancé. Which mental hospital did you escape from?" The crowd burst into laughter. Theodore's face flushed red. He crouched by the roadside under the blazing sun, feeling anxious and agitated. Finally, the wedding ceremony ended. The church doors opened, and Chloe emerged in her white wedding dress, looking even more beautiful than he had imagined. However, the man beside her was an eyesore. Theodore felt that he should be the one standing next to her. Because of the distance, he waved frantically to get her attention. "Chloe. Chloe." However, the noisy crowd instantly drowned out his shouts. Finally, before getting into the car, Chloe turned around and looked in Theodore's direction. Theodore thought, as long as she sees me, I'm certain she'll abandon everything and come with me. But her gaze merely swept over him indifferently before she got into the car. Theodore thought, she must not have seen me. Besides, even if she's married, she can still get divorced. It doesn't matter. A loveless arranged marriage partner doesn't stand a chance against a resurrected lover. With these thoughts, he returned home. Naomi rushed over and hugged him, crying, "Did you see that news? That bitch Chloe married someone else. Didn't I tell you long ago that she wasn't a decent woman?" Theodore shouted, "She doesn't know I'm still alive. If she knew, she would divorce him for me." After saying this, he irritably shook off Naomi's hand. "Put away all my memorial photos in the living room. They're so unlucky." Opening the bedroom door, Theodore was startled by the scene before him. The room was in complete disarray, and the glass of the picture frame containing Chloe's favorite photo was shattered all over the floor. On the bedroom photo wall, all their pictures together had been torn in half. Theodore angrily called Naomi upstairs and roared, "Mom, are you sick? If you don't like Chloe, you could have just scolded her until she moved out. How could you destroy all our photos like this? I didn't do it, that bitch did it herself. Do I have time for such childish destruction?" Naomi retorted. Theodore said, "You're still making excuses. Look at these photos, you blacked out all her faces. How could she possibly deface herself like that? Can't you change your nasty temper?" Growing angrier, he continued, "You should go back to your hometown. I never should have brought you here. If you hadn't driven her away, she wouldn't have been pressured by her family into an arranged marriage so quickly. Naomi collapsed weakly to the floor. I love watching this kind of infighting, so satisfying. Isn't he overthinking this? Chloe blacked out her face because she didn't want to leave any trace of herself here. He's imagining things again. Chapter 12. On the wedding day, I saw Theodore. He seemed absolutely certain I would throw everything away for him. In the rearview mirror, I watched him try to chase after the car, shouting my name. But 2 security guards grabbed him and pinned him to the roadside. In the car, Alexander asked me, "What are you looking at?" "A clown." I smiled. He looked at me with a gentle smile spreading across his face. "Don't just watch the clown look at me too." Night fell, and our wedding night arrived. Alexander was in high spirits today, having been pulled into drinking quite a bit. When we entered the room, he was already somewhat drunk. Alexander yanked off his tie, unbuttoned several shirt buttons, then collapsed onto the bed. His sexy chest muscles rose and fell with each breath, filling the entire room with an intimate atmosphere. My heart couldn't help but race. Alexander lay on the bed without moving. I thought to myself, since he's drunk, he probably can't do that kind of thing, right? I got up to grab my pajamas and head to the shower. As I passed by him, he caught my wrist. Alexander pulled me toward him, and I ended up pressed against his body. He asked, "Where are you going?" I said, "I need to shower." He asked, "Can I kiss you?" I nodded. Alexander pressed his hand against the back of my neck and kissed me. As we kissed, somehow I went from being on top to being underneath him. The kiss transformed from gentle touches to parting lips and tongues. I felt like all the air in my chest was being drawn away by him. I felt something and gently pressed my hands against his chest, saying, "Alexander, I'd like to shower first." Okay. He released me. Alexander unbuttoned his shirt, bent down to lift me up, then walked toward the bathroom. I said, "Actually, I can wash myself." He replied, "I know." I asked, "Then why won't you put me down?" He said, "But I'm drunk and need your help." I froze, thinking to myself, this is what you look like when you're drunk. Alexander asked, "Is that okay, honey?" I didn't say anything. My response was the water overflowing from the bathtub all over the floor. Chapter 13. When I woke up the next day, I was lying with my back to Alexander, wrapped in his embrace. His arm was around my waist, and his steady breathing brushed against my neck. I couldn't help but recall the image of his hands pressing against me last night. My checks flushed slightly. What? Why did they end up in bed the moment I clicked to the next chapter? Author, where's my 10,000 words of process? Look me in the eyes. Alexander cleared his schedule and took me abroad for our honeymoon. After leaving Washington, I left all those troubles behind. Beautiful scenery always lifts one's spirits and brings healing. However, during the first few days, I still often woke up startled from my sleep. Then, I would inexplicably burst into tears. I found this behavior strange myself, but I just couldn't control it. Alexander went from being completely at a loss initially to eventually holding me in his arms, kissing away my tears bit by bit, and coaxing me back to sleep. He had a faint, comforting scent that put me at ease. During the latter half of our honeymoon, I gradually stopped having nightmares. Alexander's kisses were no longer so gentle, and his way of coaxing me to sleep had changed too. He would exhaust my energy, and this method was indeed very effective. After returning home, I discovered I was trending again. However, this was within my expectations. Chapter 14. About the recent marriage that's been making waves in Washington. I remember the woman's fiancé just died, right? I even saw a video of her crying by the river. Did she kill her fiancé? The guy just died, and the woman already found a new man. This is just heartbreaking. Rumor has it the guy didn't actually die, he was rescued by a family downstream. But he never expected that when he came back, his fiancé had already married someone else. Quite a few people online were criticizing me for moving on too quickly. I was about to contact my media friends to have them release the explosive story they'd been saving. But then, these trending topics were instantly taken down. Even when I clicked on the keywords again, the screen just showed a blank page. Alexander was faster than me. The public outcry immediately died down. 2 days later, I ran into Theodore downstairs at my office. He'd lost a lot of weight, his cheeks sunken deep, looking even more haggard than I had been. The moment he saw me, his eyes turned red as he said, "Chloe, it's me. I'm Theodore." Hearing his words, I remained expressionless. Theodore looked slightly surprised, but still choked up as he said, "Yes, I didn't die, I was just. You were just swept downstream by the water, then rescued by a family, and you lost your memory." I finished what he was about to say, then asked, "Is that what you were going to tell me?" He froze. "Since you already know, why didn't you come looking for me? Is this a try not to laugh challenge?" I lost. Does he think he's the novel's male lead? Oh my god, he actually is. But so what if he's the male lead? Even if the male lead does something wrong, I'll still call him out. Theodore became agitated. "Do you know what people are saying about you online? They're saying you found another man just days after I died, and they're all criticizing you. Do you know that? But it's okay, I know you were forced by your family. You divorce him, and then we'll get married right away, okay?" No. I stepped back 2 paces. Are you addicted to playing the devoted lover? Was it fun faking your death to go abroad and find your mistress? Theodore was stunned, his eyes full of disbelief. His voice trembling, he said, "How did you find out? Did Gabriel and Micah tell you?" "Yes, and I have to thank them for it." I didn't deny it and continued, "At first, I didn't believe it. Then they gave me your and your mistress's account information. I watched your videos together. You two really are a happy couple. Chloe, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Theodore's eyes were full of regret, and he even tried to grab my hand. Chapter 15. Darling. Alexander stepped out of a Bentley. Lately, he'd been picking me up from work every day. I walked over and linked my arm through his. Honey, there's this guy who keeps bothering me. I'm scared. The tall Alexander walked past Theodore, took my hand, and pulled me behind him protectively, asking, Who are you? What do you want with my wife? This scene cut Theodore deeply. His eyes widened, and his outstretched hand froze in midair. Theodore said, I'm Theodore, her former fiancé. Alexander said, If I remember correctly, didn't you die? After soaking in the river for so long, how come you haven't rotted yet? Theodore clenched his fists. What are you so smug about? You and she are just in a business marriage. A business marriage works just fine. If a business marriage lets me marry her, what's wrong with that? Alexander sneered and continued, Besides, what are you anyway? Other than making her cry, what else can you do? Right, I support Theodore going back to the river. Let me tell you something funny. Theodore only has the capital to go against Alexander because he's supposed to take over the Brooks family business. Now that Chloe won't marry him, with his tiny, crappy media company, crushing him would be as easy as squashing an ant for Alexander. But honestly, Alexander doesn't need to bother with such a lowlife. Theodore raised his fist, but before he could throw the punch, the Thompson family's bodyguards had him restrained. I looked at him with nothing but mild disgust in my eyes and said, Please don't show up in front of me again. You make me sick. Chapter 16. That night, Alexander, who was usually so considerate and gentle, was completely out of control in bed. Alexander's arms were incredibly strong, his voice deep and husky. Why did you only call me honey in front of him at the spaghetti place? When it's just the two of us alone, why have I never heard you call me that? I thought, yes, why? I said, because you never said you wanted to hear it. He said, I want to hear it. I said, honey. He said, say it again. Alexander's affection for me was so intense it seemed to overflow from the corners of his eyes. He said, I'm better than him, more obedient than him. Choose me, okay? I can't remember how many times I replied, okay. In the early hours of the morning, my voice was completely hoarse. Alexander kissed my sweat-dampened forehead. I was exhausted, but I vaguely heard him whisper softly, I love you, Chloe. Chapter 17. Meanwhile, Theodore angrily tracked down Gabriel and Micah, launching into punches and kicks without a word. Chloe deliberately said that to make Theodore go after his friends. To deal with people like this, we need to make them fight each other like dogs. After taking several punches, Gabriel and Micah were furious. Gabriel snapped, What the hell is wrong with you? Haven't we been cooperative enough? Micah chimed in, We nearly offended the Thompson family helping you out. Instead of thanking us, you're beating us up for no reason. Theodore couldn't take on two people alone. Soon, he was pinned to the ground, unable to fight back. Gabriel snarled, You bastard. You screwed things up chasing women, and now you're blaming us? I even stood up for you at their engagement ceremony. What an idiot I was. Finally, when Theodore was lying on the ground beaten like a dead dog, he received a call from Isla. Shrill crying came through the phone. What do I do? My account has been exposed. Theodore said, Didn't I tell you to delete all the videos? Isla screamed, I already hid all the videos. But someone screen recorded all of them. What should I do? Now the reality dating show staff wants me to pay breach of contract fees. All the money I made from this account over the past few months will have to go toward compensation. What should I do? Can you send me more money? Theodore roared, Get lost. I don't have money. If you hadn't recorded those useless videos, I wouldn't have lost her. The two got into a shouting match over the phone. Later, Theodore's company ran out of funding. He had been too wasteful early on and no longer had the capital to rebuild. Isla's dreams of stardom were also shattered. Everyone online knew she had been a mistress, and they tore her apart with criticism. Clever netizens used clues from the videos to connect the sugar daddy with Theodore and analyze the truth of the situation. From then on, Theodore's name became synonymous with scumbag. At the mention of his name, even passing dogs would spit at him. One evening, after another failed job search, Theodore walked dejectedly along the riverbank. Suddenly, brilliant fireworks bloomed across the sky. Just as this dazzling display sparked a glimmer of hope for life in him, the next second, the fireworks formed words in the sky. Mrs. Thompson, happy 1-week anniversary Christmas. Someone nearby said, That's Alexander setting off fireworks for his wife. Once again, I'm just background scenery in someone else's love story. Hearing this, Theodore felt overwhelmed with rage as large tears streamed down his face. He climbed over the railing and jumped into the dark river water. However, he didn't die, someone rescued him. His rescuer said, Don't thank me. I only saved you because I didn't want you polluting the river water. Like a stray dog, Theodore left Washington and returned to his hometown. He lived off his parents, shutting himself indoors and refusing to come out. Later, the pop-up comments in front of me disappeared. I didn't know Theodore's whereabouts, nor did I care about them. The only person I cared about was named Alexander, the big villain mentioned in the comments, who cried for 3 days and nights after seeing me accept someone else's confession. 2 years after marrying him, I finally dared to give him my heart completely. Alexander was very patient. Through our daily interactions, he carefully pieced together my shattered heart bit by bit. To Alexander, it was never too late for Chloe to start loving him. As long as she could stay by his side, he was willing to remain there, bound by her constraints. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.